So my name is Magdalena Valderrama. I'm the program director for Cedar Springs Community Redevelopment Association. We put this event together. And I also happen to be the one of two regional Firewise coordinators here in Lake County. The other one is John Knoll, and he is out at the Rivieras with the Canopy Fire Station. So the Firewise communities and the Fire Safe Councils are two completely different programs. We'll try to help you understand some of the distinctions and how they work together. And we'll also talk about what Firewise Communities is, what is good about it, and some of the challenges and some of the successes. And I have here with me Michael Peterson from Wildland Urban Firewise Community, Wendy Collins from Firewise Community, and Kathy Blair from Rainbow Estates, Meadow, and Mesa. And we also actually have from Hidden Valley, Elizabeth Aholtz. But we're going to be talking about the Cog Firewise communities today and see what we can share and learn from each other and understand about the differences between, because every community is different. And then I'll have some questions for each person, and you can ask both of your own questions. And then we're supposed to end at 11:30, which is kind of quick, but we'll do what we can. So are there any comments or questions now before we get started? Okay. Oh, yes, Max.
I was just wondering, are you going to be touching on neighborhoods where there are non-resident property owners who are not taking care of the property?
Yes, we can touch on that. Yeah. What I'll say is, by the way, that there is a Firewise Communities booth. So during lunchtime, you can actually go out, and if you're not in a Firewise community now, or you're not sure, we have a map so that you can kind of place yourself. And if you are in one but you didn't know it, we can connect you then. It's right down your contact information. We can connect you with the leader, and then if you are not in one but would like to start one, then you can let us know that as well. We had 8, including Anderson Springs, although Anderson Springs is not technically within the COP area, but they're like right next door. So we've been including them, as we coordinate our efforts. So anything else before we start? Keep going. Okay. So how about we go in that direction, and we'll just hear each other and feed off of each other in terms of what you want to share, like just some of the successes. Some of the successes, why you got started, how long maybe your community's been around. Just get that.
Well, good morning. I think I'm the youngster of the group, not an age, but maybe from Firewise involvement. Loch Lomond community, for those who I think the majority are familiar with it, we're one of the fortunate ones from the Valley Fire that we didn't sustain a significant hit. We lost one house in our community. However, at the same time, we also recognized once the fire passed and the crisis had never, it's still not over, but once the fire passed, there was a recognition that we needed to do more. However, we had some gaps. We had some gaps in our Property Owners Association that kind of put things kind of on hold for a while. Then with the push of Cedar Springs Redevelopment Association, they kind of did a great job of pushing the communities up here. We then kicked it up a little bit, and in 2022, we then formed. We started the process. Very fortunate in Lake County, in Loch Lomond, because we have the Prather family, and I think everyone's familiar with the Prather family. Well-established community members that have a lot of history up here. Gary Prather is the co-chair of our group and co-chair with me. Gary is a retired firefighter from Cal Fire. Bright guy, on top of stuff, hardworking, and his family's engaged. You have me, not bright maybe, and not hardworking. You had me on the other side from the standpoint of having more maybe an administrative program management component. So you put the two of us together and we were able to get things moving. And the key, what we did quickly was we needed to put together a committee to get the process in place and have some kind of governance. Though we don't have formal governance. I'll touch on that after the others speak. But we recognized that we needed a diverse committee. The diversity and the diverse committee allows for more engagement across the board. So if you only focused on one segment of the community, that's the segment you're going to get engaged. If you focus on somebody else. So we brought a very diverse group together, and then the gap got even worse because our Property Owners Association went defunct because of some issues associated with tax. That was our hook. But thank God, again, Sigler Springs came to our rescue. I reached out to Magdalena and Elliot, and they now are our fiscal sponsors. So we are a 501(c)(3) through their organization, which also provides some benefits. And also we get our insurance. So I'll leave it at that because I know the other folks, but I can go into some of the last thing I want to say, our community is about 50-50. 50 full-time residents and 50 summertime party animals. And that's another blend that we had to recognize and bring together. So I'll touch on some other things later.
I moved up here after the Valley Fire and talking to people and volunteering, I could see the deep PTSD, the deep feelings, and I hadn't been through it. I'd been to the earthquake in Napa. But I'm looking at my house and as they said, I'm a part of it. And I needed to protect myself, and hearing about Firewise, this is a way to get the neighborhood together. And for me, it's Adams Springs, around the pool, and all along the side of Highway 175 here. So this was my row of houses, was the last one that was saved from the fire. Down below me is all burnt logs. And the real estate agent ad said, now that the fire was burned, you have a beautiful view of Sean Mountain. But I realized now today that there are a few more pine trees that I need to cut down. But part of Firewise for me is learning so much, so easily and so casually. I'm learning so much, and I've met many people. And learning this encouraged me to go down to the South Lake Fire Safe Council and be part of that for a while. We have about 50 people on our mailing list, but it's very hard to get them engaged. And I think that's the difficulty for me. And I need more information on that. But that's part of collaborating. So we took part in the Broom Busters project, where we tried to get rid of the broom at the entrance to Boggs Mountain. We've had some lots cleared through grants from Magdalena and through people getting together. But there's so much more to do, looking at the broom, even on the sides of the road. And you think about the evacuation routes. So I'm learning all these things from Firewise. The evacuation routes, if you had to go, in the Riviera, there was one Facebook post. The guy, there was only one road. He had to go past the fire to get out. And he could feel the heat through the car and the fear he felt. And I'm just thinking, our roads up around Fox and Elliott and all that are very narrow. And they're really one-way roads for two-way traffic. But even down where I am on Hobart, there's broom all along the road, and the vegetation encroaches. And so I could see all these projects that need to be done. Part of it, I think, is, as they said, identifying it first and educating, and get people to be willing to come out and do a little bit, because there's no one else that can do it. But I hope that anybody who's in my area will join my group. I have a booth out in the backyard there, and I'm giving out free bookmarks and free cloud spotter tools.
Hi, I'm Kathy Blair, and I am part of the Firewise group over here called REM. It's Rainbow Estates Meadow and Mesa. Our leader of our group, Cindy Leonard, couldn't be here today, so I'm very ill-equipped to present today. Magdalena just threw it on me. Anyways, what's really not working for our group is we have the same little group of people that volunteer and nobody else that comes in year after year. I got involved after the fire. We had a big forum at the Cobb Elementary School. I think it was in 2016. So that's when I started to get involved and, you know, tried to understand my responsibility as being a homeowner in a community that's full of trees, lots of pines. So what is working is Cindy's been able to get us several grants that we have been able to utilize. And for instance, 2 years in a row, she got us a vegetation container through the grant program, and we were able to clear some areas that we recognize were very dangerous for our community. So that has been working very well. But again, getting other people to join in and do some of the work, remove the broom, remove the brush around their house, that's still a big piece of the puzzle that, you know, we can't figure out how to get other people involved because it affects us all, right? So.
So I'll add to that. So I also am the chair for our Siegler Springs Firewise community. So if you know where Black Oak Drive is along Loch Lomond Road, so I go past these guys' community, and you're going towards Walmart, and then there's a subdivision to the right, and then then all the land that goes to the east, and then all the way down to Perini and Etowah Springs. Siegler Springs Firewise community covers all of that area. I think we were the first one, and then your guys, Cindy's, came in. What was interesting to us was the insurance discounts. If we're going to have an insurance panel later this afternoon, and I'll be moderating that panel as well. But the Firewise Communities Program is run by the National Fire Protection Association. That is a nationwide association. It is a way for communities and neighbors to come together to build community together, because your first security is, your first responder is probably going to be your neighbor, right? They're going to say, hey, there's a wildfire. Doing fire mitigation together is a way of building those relationships so that you're not afraid to go and knock on somebody's door when the time comes, right? And it's a way to then also educate yourself, as Wendy was pointing to. We're starting to be able to understand what's an evacuation route. Why do we have to be concerned about one way or Scotch broom or anything else like that? The other thing that happens with the Firewise community is that it is easier to qualify an already organized group for insurance discounts. I can tell you that I've had many inquiries now from people wanting to know where their Firewise community is and who they need to talk to get the certificate to show the agent. Okay. And then now that, because of our Siegler Springs Community Redevelopment Association nonprofit status, when we go after grants, we can say to CAL FIRE, we can say to the federal government, we have 7 Firewise communities here that we're trying to help. And the grants that Kathy's talking about came out of the blue. Literally, I got an email from the National Fire Protection Association saying that they had created a new program, not CAL FIRE, not federal, whatever, their own program with State Farm. And because we were a 501c3, could I distribute $10,000 between now and September? And I didn't even stop. I knew, because I'd already been talking with you guys, and we'd already been planning all along, that we had shovel-ready projects. Grants are looking for shovel-ready projects. What's that? That means you're not just saying, oh my God, we need to clear up the road and everything like that. Which road? How much of that road? Is it like trees, or is it just brush? Do you have a group of people that can help you, or are you going to have to hire? shovel-ready projects means that you've already taken all of those kinds of questions into account. And so we make sure that when we coordinate, we actually have workshops here that Siegler Springs SSCRA will host, bring everybody together. Kathy and then Wendy and Michael and their friends have also been to these workshops. And we just sit and we calculate and we help each other make those calculations. Gary gave us a formula that CAL FIRE uses. CAL FIRE uses a particular formula when they go out to clear brush and they go, oh, so many men in the team, this much length and this much width, that kind of thing. So we're like, oh, let's calculate, bring out your calculators. And so we were able to, right off the bat, apply for that grant fairly easily because we were ready. So that's one aspect of organizing as a Firewise community. I wanted to just call Michael out because they had a property owners association. And that meant that they had an email list to work with. Wendy and Cindy, Kathy, they have email lists that we compiled back from 2018 and 2019 when we were having COP Safe and COP Resilient. So those need to be redone, and we're hoping to collect more names and stuff like that for you guys here. So if you go to the Firewise booth, make yourselves known.
I think one of the, if I can chime in, I think one of, as Magdalena explained, that you had to identify for these grants and whatever, what are your vulnerabilities, your risks. But the reality is, becoming and going through the process of a Firewise organization, NFPA puts you on kind of a format. And the first thing you have to do is identify your risks. You do a risk assessment in your community. So each community is a little bit different. So you identify what's your problems, okay, as a group. And then from that list, you then develop action items to say, we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, simple as maybe clearing out a couple areas and or major ones. And when we did our risk assessment in Loch Lomond, again, very fortunate because we had some old timers that participated in our group, and they were aware that in 2005, we had a fuel break that had started in the backside of our canyon that goes from bogs up to our development. And that fuel break was a lifesaver actually to some degree. And when the Valley Fire hit, it gave a little bit of space and time, but it also, our folks understood that's where the fire is going to come. And we're, again, fortunate. We had a bunch of off-duty firemen from Oakland and San Francisco that came up, dropped hose lines in the back, and they were there for the Valley Fire. But we said, when we did our risk assessment, this is our number one problem. We've got to fix this. So we went through grant opportunities. The grant was, our cost was like $300,000 to do a complete 360 assessment or a field break, and that's not real. And we applied for them, we didn't get them, but we're going to continue to apply for them. But what we decided to do, and again quickly, is we're going to segment this fuel break, and we're just signed in the process of signing a grant or a contract with CAL FIRE to go behind our Sycamore and do a partial fuel break there. Again, fortunate. We do dinners, fundraisers all the time. We've got a great chef in our community. And we're fortunate because we have a budget, probably about close to $30,000 in our budget, just from community donations. And that allows us now, this grant or this project we're looking at, we're going to spend $15 grand and to get in that fuel break, to get it done. So fortunate. And not all the Firewise groups have that. We also decided recently, we're sending a letter, everybody in our community, 220 residents, we're asking for $75 a year. That's what they used to pay in the property owners, no more property owners. Give us that money to offset these fuel break projects we're going to have. So again, thinking outside the box a little bit, using the community resources and really using a diverse community expertise really allows for you to really build a community program.
That's a great idea. Start charging them. John, 75, here.
What percentage of people contributed?
We have yet to do, send a letter. We're sending it this week and we're
That's
putting
your
it together.
next-
That's our next process. However, we've had some major donations. We've had a couple donated 5,000 to our group. And that money we have, we've been spending we've been doing major projects, cleaning up houses, doing ingress routes. So we've been spending and using contractors. The recognition here is me, I'm an old guy, I'm not gonna get out there and cut weeds all the time. So give me money, I'll give you money, you hire somebody. And that's what we've been doing. And that has proven to be pretty successful for us, and again, I don't want to paint the same
Yeah.
picture for everybody, but for us, it has been.
It is different in every case. There's a Firewise community out by, on your way to Sacramento. They're all in their 70s. I kid you not. They all have white hair. They all go out and they do their projects together. They've taken pictures. I know who they are. And the chair is now 81, and she's still doing it. So every group is different. You just have to see who you've got. And the way it works is I'm going to ask Kathy to explain the recording sheet. This is not the form. This is a form that I found on the internet to help us keep track of dates, people, the work they did. So when I go out and do my weeding, or when I do, I clear the gutters from my home. Kathy, would you do us the honors of?
So in order to get a discount for insurance, we have to record our hours of what we do, clearing the gutters, removing all the brush within the first, 5 feet around your entry to your home. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever time you're spending on, filling your green cans every week, record your hours and then submit it to your person that presents it to the, to get the discount. So Cindy Leonard is the one that actually, in my group, that records the hours for us. But we, as a Firewise group, record our hours and we submit them to Cindy to get the, certification.
I'll call on you next. Yeah,
Hold on. To get the certification that we can present to our insurance companies. So that is, we do this every year and we submit them to her and then she records them and then submits it to the powers that be to give us our certification.
And then what about if you hire anybody?
That I don't know. I don't know if you put it on here. I really don't know the answer
Okay,
to that
so
question.
yes, if you hire somebody, that counts as an in-kind expense, and you can put it on that recording sheet and it will count as well.
And if you buy a chainsaw or a weed eater, you can put it down.
The whole concept of the annual report you submit back to the NFPA is that you have to match 1 hour of in-kind service or cost for every resident or every residence in that. So if you got 20 residents, you have to commit 20 hours. The set price, I think, is around $30 an hour.
Yeah, and it changes every year.
Every year, inflation obviously hits us all. But so you submit that, and it includes actual volunteer time. It includes cost, as I said. If you rent a debris box, whatever, all that gets put into that amount, and you submit it at the end of the year. And again, I'm not trying to say how great we are, but our costs since we started, I think our first couple of years, we were doing some great work. But it was like $150,000. This past year that we submitted, we're over $300,000 of committed both work and contract work. People getting contractors out, doing we had major burns, or what do you call it, control burns, that were cost associated with it, as well as they measure how much vegetation you take out of your community. So those are things that really gives you a focus, that gives the community a focus. But as everyone has touched on, I always believed in the theory, gentle pressure constantly applied. Maybe that management theory works for some. It doesn't work in this arena. So you got to beat them to death to get them out there and embarrass them to death to get them out there. But you can't, and that might not be the approach. The approach might be make some money or get money out of them and pay people to do so.
That's a good idea.
Inez first and then you.
I understand that this form can accommodate the CAN radios, the radio check?
Yes, so if you are part of the Cobb Alert Net,
Yeah.
which is the volunteer relay radio network that we established here in Cobb, we're actually, I think we've hit past 300, Duncan, do you know?
A what?
Duncan, I'm asking, do you know if we've hit 300 or past it?
I'm sorry.
The CAN, Cobb Alert
Yes, about 300.
300, okay. So we have people who have relay radios, FRS, GMRS, and ham radios who keep everybody apprised of the situation around. And we practice every week. And your radio hours, practice hours count. Because it's related to your Firewise, keeping everybody safe.
Also meetings.
And meetings, right, like today.
Oh, really? Do I need receipts and stuff? No, I have all this work done on my property. I didn't get any receipts.
It depends. Sometimes
I
if you're, so
Make
for
them up,
myself,
but-
in my Ziegler Springs community,
Now I hired people, so, and I did a lot
Yes,
of
can I-
hours by myself.
right, so I'm going to explain.
Okay,
I said it depends.
okay.
In my Ziegler Springs group, I happen to know all my neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say, oh, I did X, Y, and Z, or I paid so and so and so, I know they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't actually have to show NFPA anything. None of us has to show NFPA anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, when a grant gets involved,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to have to show the grantor all the receipts that I'm claiming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I say to my neighbors, I say, you know what? I do need your receipts this time
Mm-hmm.
because this grant is asking us to show the community match.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it becomes necessary. So it's going to depend. So do you know if you're in a Firewise community?
I am in a Firewise community.
Which one is it?
I'm just up here on Cobb, right behind golf course.
Which golf course?
I don't know the name of it.
There's 3 of them, so,
Yeah, the Belmont.
okay. So I know the Firewise community that you're in, and I know who you need to give that to. They would welcome whatever you can give them. I can give you a sheet and you
I
can
mean,
take.
I can, try to get my receipts, I can track my guys
You
down
you
and
you don't
everything.
need, you won't need your receipts this time.
Okay.
I can tell you that because I know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you won't need your receipts this time, but if you can just fill one out and give it to them, then, and even help out. If you're the one that starts, doing the tallying, that counts as time that goes
Oh.
towards this.
So then how do I know who's my person up
I
there
will tell
now?
you who that is,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
And the reason I'm making a big deal about telling you or whatever is because right now they're inactive. But they're just inactive, so there's still time for them to reactivate without having to start all over again.
Not all of us have $300,000 to write down on a page. So
If you're nice to me, I'll give you some.
So it is helpful for everybody to participate. One of the other concepts we've learned along with this is we learn who the neighbor is, as you discussed. And somebody's elderly, or they got a dog, or they got kids, and they know I'm elderly and I'm down at the bottom of the hill. That all helps everybody tremendously. And so we talked about Neighbor Fest. We haven't done it yet, but it would be good to get together with your group at meetings or at a casual barbecue to help yourself through anything. I came home in an ambulance, and next thing I know, the neighbor sent her kids over to help me with projects. So it's just kind of knowing people. I think it means you will go to help them, and they will go and help you because they know you. And I think that's important.
I'm glad you brought up the Neighbor Fest. So North Coast Opportunities is the community action agency for Lake County and Mendocino for that matter. And what they have a program called Neighbor Fest, and they've been going around basically asking for block captains. And really, that's what we're doing as Firewise community leaders, is we're creating block captains.
What's that?
A block captain.
Oh.
You know, have you ever heard of a brigade or a neighborhood watch?
It's,
There's always, yeah, you're a neighborhood watch. There'll always be somebody that kind of holds the reins, you know, and says, come on, you guys, let's get together. That's basically what a block captain does. So the NCO, North Coast Opportunity,
What's the size of that block?
it can be any size you want. For a Firewise community, you only need 8 minimum, and you don't have to be contiguous. And in fact, I'm a little bit angry at my husband because he said, okay, let's take a pencil and draw this big of a circle. And now I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, but it's really sweet because I have met so many people, and you'd be amazed at everyone who wants to help too. But anyway, so to the NCO's Neighbor Fest program, they will help provide supplies to hold an event. And you can say, we want to create a Firewise community. They will give you materials. And on top of that, the NFPA will give you free materials. They'll give you things like this program checklist. And they'll give you things, and it'll give the entire program. You know, you can get this online. It'll outline the entire program for you. It'll even give you copies of templates that you can use, you know, whether it's little maps. I'll show you that. They'll do the printing for you. Oh, the Firewise, I don't have a map with me. Did you guys didn't bring one, did you? One of those brochures that opens up?
No,
Okay. It shows the ignition zones. Because a lot of times people will say, I don't even know where to start. How do I even begin? And you start, it shows you 5 feet around your home. That means around and above. That's your defensible space. The next tier out is 30 feet. I had a contractor call me and say, hey, I want to tell this lady, she wants me to clear, 30 feet out. But I just, I want to do the work, but, it's okay to do 20, isn't it? I said, it starts with 5, and then you go out 30, and then you go out 100. So you're always incrementally, you're not having to do it all at once. The 5 feet will make a huge, huge difference. It just will. So that's how you start.
And it's the law as of January 1st.
Yes, especially for new builds.
Well, new building is already intact,
Yeah.
started last January.
Yeah.
But for existing structures, it's this coming January.
It's got, right.
And they won't go around enforcing it.
Right.
They'll have the insurance company.
We're going to be talking insurance.
And they'll say, your insurance is canceled or your premium is doubled.
I have a question to that. What if you have neighbors who have empty lots who don't have insurance?
Come to the panel this afternoon, the insurance panel.
Well, I find it really difficult, being in a forested area to really clear cut 100 feet out.
Right. And that's what's interesting, we've all learned, it's not about clear cutting. No, don't clear cut. In fact,
It's just
you can
getting all-
make the fire worse if you clear cut.
So what is it, just getting all the undergrowth out?
shaded,
So
if you will.
5 feet is completely clear,
Yeah, I thought that,
30 feet is thinned,
right?
and by 100 feet, it's a shaded fuel break.
So just a few trees, and they're limbed up, so it's not like
The
the,
trees are.
she was talking about how they
creating a
grow.
park in my
yeah.
acre park.
So you can walk under it and enjoy it.
Just getting all the, like she said, all the little pines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just clearing that.
Get the little ones too, I'll leave a few.
Yeah, the recommended space between trees is 14 feet.
I was told 30. And right now, when you look around our forests, you're seeing, sometimes, 100 trees in a very tiny little space. So when you were just listening to Corinne talk about, those straws that are in the ground, lowering the water table, fire and water are very related. So if you take care of the straws, you're taking care of the water too. You'll have water to fight your fires.
So I just want to go back to the logging of the hours. We can do that with all the residents within our community. And then that will help us, we have it documented, to go out and get grants to do some of the work. And then my other question was, have you guys, we're newly co-chairs of the Hidden Valley Firewise. And we were talking about really wanting to see how each Firewise community could help another community. Like, you know, we obviously probably can get more members because we have more residents to choose from. But like say, all right, 1 month we're gonna go to Anderson Springs and help with the Scotch broom if you're not getting enough residents. Have you guys tried that or entertained that
That's a great
at all?
idea. No.
To just kind of, because again, we all say we're only as safe as our neighbor, but
Yeah.
we're only as safe as our neighboring community as
Yeah.
well. So, have you guys tried any of that with any success? Are you guys open to
No, I
that?
think that's a great idea. No, it's part of the Neighbor Fest, getting to know people, going to the Scotch Broom Buster program, you meet
Oh,
people
we did
there.
have a Broom Buster program.
We did that.
Yeah, so the one that Wendy mentioned, there's a spot right there where at the entrance to Boggs Forest, a whole bunch of us, Cindy put it together. She pulled a whole bunch of us together and it's in her Firewise community, and we ripped into the room there. Of course, it's grown back, but that was one of our first big projects.
So like another thing, like I work for a large winery in St. Helena where they pay us for 2 days a year to go out and do volunteer work. And we did one where we did Scotch broom down at a Napa Park for the day. And we took we did a lot, there was 38 of us, and we made a big dent in 4 hours
Yeah.
on their trails.
Maybe
So
your
there's
winery
other
could take up,
ways.
maybe your winery could talk to our Lake County wineries
Yeah,
and get
well,
them.
I don't know if they have that many employees. My winery has 1,000 employees, so
No, but to
Yeah.
give them the idea.
yeah.
Wineries,
So
you know.
maybe you could do that with other companies, not just wineries
Yeah.
that have community days that don't even know that this need exists.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the geysers help us, Calpine.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody else.
One of the things, if you have something to leverage, like a homeowners association, there is, I wish to some degree that we had one where we can use either CCNRs or some aspect of that to help with the, maintaining homes and lots. But one of the things, at least up here, that we are doing in Loch Lomond is trying to, I use the term general pressure constantly applied, but throwing it in their face that there is a Firewise program and that they're a member of it, they like it or not. But you need to do that, I think, in Hidden Valley, and it's part of the agenda of the homeowners group and in their newsletter, things that are going on. So there is a connection taking place between the homeowners and the Firewise group, that there is one.
Your guys is one of the oldest. You know, we've learned already a lot, even from before I met you, Elizabeth, Louise Pagoni, and a couple of other people. Your guys do a lot. I know that you feel like you need to do better or do more, and we all do.
Well, we have, our biggest challenge is abandoned
Yeah.
lots, like you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
We have 300, so that's a pretty significant amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can talk about code enforcement too.
But and the other thing is, we were talking about, hands-on, taking vegetation out, opening up roadways, whatever. Part of the program is education and bringing people together so you can talk about, so there's a knowledge base there that what needs to be taken care of, as Magdalena said, 0 to 5. And that's one component. The other component is your evacuation program. What is your evacuation zone? We've really been pushing that from the standpoint, and we actually, on our Firewise signs, we put the evacuation route right underneath that sign. So people drive by it every day. They say, oh, that's my evacuation zone. And we give them the information about, NEX or whatever, the Lake County Sheriff and OES.
Lake
Yeah.
culverts.
Yeah, so there's an understanding, and we have done one tabletop exercise with the audience, and we said, what if? And I think the education component should really be high on everyone's hit parade, because it really, one, it's the awareness, there is a Firewise group, but secondly, it brings people together and they can talk, and then they recognize there's value taking place.
One of the things that could be good for a neighborhood, so our Firewise communities really started because we came from all the different neighborhoods in Cobb. We had a couple, about three. We had 3 Cobb events, and then COVID hit, and we did one drive-through. One of the things we do is, and we're going to be able to do again, is present people with evacuation kits, like their starter kits, you know, little mask, flashlight kind of a thing. I should have brought one with me. But I know that in the Rivieras, Miguel, where you live, the Canocti Fire Safe Council was just established 2 years ago. They're very active. They cover all the.
So you said another entity. What's the difference between these two?
Okay, so there's Fire Safe Councils. Thank you for asking. So Fire Safe Council and Firewise communities are different. The Firewise community is a nationwide program run by the National Fire Protection Association. That's a nonprofit, National Fire Protection Association. The Fire Safe Council is a community group that decides that they want to do something about fire. There are no enforcements, there are no requirements, just that you want to come together. The one thing that they have together is the California Fire Safe Council, which is a nonprofit. The California Fire Safe Council compiled best practices. One of my favorite fire safe councils is Marin. Marin Fire Safe Council put in their bylaws, we are going to create Firewise communities. Another favorite of mine is the Napa Firewise Foundation. The Napa Firewise Foundation says, we want to create fire safe councils in all of Napa. So there's a little bit of a mix and match. You have to know who you're talking to, but they do work together. They can work together. And we would have had a South Lake Fire Safe Council representative today, but she had a medical emergency, so she's not here. However, Wendy and I have sat on that board. Inez comes very often, and so we can, give you some pointers about the Fire Safe Council for South Lake. There's 3.
You were gonna say something about the Riviera Fire Safe Council?
So the Canocti Fire Safe Council covers the Rivieras. There's like 3 or 4 of you guys out there. Buckingham, Kelseyville Riviera, used to be Clear Lake Riviera.
Riviera Estates, Riviera West.
And then they cover all the little mobile home parks and everything in between. So if you get email from them, pay attention. They are working like gangbusters. They have a retired fire captain who is kicking ass. So between him and, I have my finger into a little bit too many pies, but we stay very coordinated. And he would have been here also, except he also had other obligations. But yeah, the Firewise, so that's the distinction. There is no requirements for a fire safe council. It's just whatever you make up, which means you can invent.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a 501c3 for either of these. The Fire Safe Council there decided to become 501c3 because they're largely made up of HOAs. Guess what? HOAs cannot qualify for a government grant. So they decided to create a nonprofit. What these guys, anybody in Cobb, any Firewise community in Cobb can use the Seigler Springs Community Redevelopment Association as a fiscal sponsor. You don't have to become a 501c3. We can run money for you and help you with the taxes and things like that. And we charge an administrative fee because we have to pay a bookkeeper. But you don't then have to go through all of that, and, filings and whatever. And we can still take advantage of our cooperation together.
So with us being an HOA, is it our Firewise couldn't become a 501c?
Not
Outside
by
that.
itself. You would
So-
have to join some with,
Partner, okay.
And I believe that Canocti is sort of adopting you guys.
Yeah, they adopted us.
Okay.
And is it just one Firewise community or do you have
Yes, this is
multiple?
one.
Their entire home owners association became a Firewise.
Large
Yes.
community.
And we just recently got, because we were running under EC, that's why Elizabeth was running it for a bit. And we just got approved to be a standalone committee within Hidden Valley Lake.
Yeah.
So that's why there's Kim and I now, with Elizabeth as our advisor.
Now, Pat, you guys, do you think you guys could become active again?
But we are.
No, Pat,
So, what was the question?
your Firewise community, do you think you guys could pull together again sometime?
Well, I thought we were, Kathy McCarthy was pretty active, and I remember filling out one of those forms
Yeah.
this last year, and she said we had enough hours probably for our whole community.
Yeah. She needs help collecting. She needs help collecting the hours.
Well, I'll call her and say, yeah, I
Oh, that would be so fantastic. Yeah,
Would she be, that would they be
Yes.
my people?
yes,
And so then pretty much my Firewise community is,
hers.
what are they, 3 people?
No, there's actually several of you, and in fact, one of the CAL FIRE people in there is a member of is a resident in your community.
Because I had no idea.
Yeah.
That it was inactive.
Yeah.
guess
She,
I haven't received
her mom has been sick, so she's gotten distracted a lot. So she just needs help,
Plus she's a teacher.
and she's a teacher, so.
In other words, she's not too busy.
Well, I'll call her.
She's been fantastic. I mean, this woman is also, Kathy, I love Kathy.
So what does that mean? So like say I want to put my hours then who do I give it to?
You wanna give me your contact number and I'll forward it to Kathy?
Okay.
That's fantastic. That's the way this works. Community helping, reaching out to each other. Yeah, do that. And you know, I have so many papers here, I might lose them, but you can, when we are going to send an email out to let everybody know about the new trainings and workshops that are part of this community wildfire protection plan that we're developing here in Cobb. So pay attention to those because we'll also be inviting you to participate in more of these kinds of trainings, and then we'll be able to make sure that you get to your person.
I'm wondering if there's like printouts that I can maybe walk through my little neighborhood and hand out to my neighbors.
Yes,
You guys
You
have
can-
some
so if you
you
go
can
to,
give me?
Oh, yeah, so I am part of an emerging, very new Firewise community we're starting on some. So it's a little hard to find, but if you go to the NFPA website, you can request the colorful catalogs, the brochures that Magdalena was referencing. It's very easy to hand out. It's, you can get hundreds if you want, but the minimum is 25.
And then no charge.
Huh?
No charge.
Yeah.
No charge, it's completely free, they just mail it to you.
All right, so what was that? So you have the website? that
Yeah, so I
go to, so you
can
give that
I can show it to you on the phone afterwards.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we do have some brochures at the booth,
Yeah, at the booth.
Firewise, some, but we
that
don't
we
have
can hand
everything.
out. We have some handouts.
So I think you can stop by there as well as, maybe we can open up the NFPA site for you on our phones.
Yeah, so this is the program checklist. It has websites listed on there as well, but you can kind of look through and see what applies to you, because it also has the South Lake Fire Safe Council chipping program on here. There's all kinds of ways that you can make up hours and expenses easy. We're at, let's see, 11:35. So the booths are open, lunch is going to be served. Make sure you have your little things so they know that you're a lunch person. We have 3 types of oak seedlings. You can leave them at the table, but we have blue oak, valley oak, and black oak. And the reason you want those is because those are the ones, they grow a little slow, but they're the ones who hold the soil in and are very fire resistant. You don't want conifer too much because conifers, as I hope Corinne explained,
Yeah.
the sap heats up, then it explodes,
And all the litter.
and all the litter and all of that. So you want oak trees.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to pull a copy of this because one thing we didn't touch on during this presentation is the home hardening program, which is, material that you use in your house, the fence that you have on the side of your house, or not the side, goes underneath or in your attic. Real important stuff because you do some preventive work that side, it can save you. It doesn't matter how much clearing out you do. If you get an ember that flies through your vent, it's going to take you out. So pick this one up and go through it because it's really good stuff.
Paul Duncan said at one point, the houses that don't have any bushes around the house are the ones that survive, in general. So that's not important to him. Paul Duncan at one point said that the houses that have no bushes and no landscape on right at that 0 to 5 are generally the ones that will survive. You remember how we always had, your foundation plants? That's no more. Just put gravel or cement. You said they're more likely to survive. And then his second priority, or CAL FIRE priority, was to get rid of the Scotch broom. Yeah, you can do that. And tell everybody to join your Firewise group, please.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
So